So let's start. USCIS implemented some changes with regards to removal of conditions. Now, for those who don't know what removal of conditions is, there's an EB-5 Messer version of it. We're not getting into that. But for marriage cases, if your marriage is new, it's less than 2 years old when the green card is issued, the green card is only going to be valid for 2 years because they want to check again to make sure your relationship was legitimate. It wasn't a fake relationship. So it's a big hassle to go through, but you got to do it. And when Trump especially was here, they were pushing it so that everyone does an interview at this stage again, even though they had already done an interview. But USCIS is pulling that back because the timelines for I-751s being approved was backed up to like 2 years. And so it's taking forever. Having interviews just made it worse. They've updated the guidance. I think they're trying to get these cases done because they're taking too long. Could you talk about what the release, policy release by USCIS was?
Yes, so for any of you guys who's watching and who has your I-751 applications pending or you're about to submit it, this is a very good news because looks like the USCIS is trying to decrease timelines significantly for this specific application. So this is the logic behind it, why they are doing it at all, because obviously they don't have enough resources, enough staff. Yeah. And I-751s, they never been a priority for USCIS. That's why now, as you mentioned, John, right, adjudicating like timeline can easily reach like 2+ years, and yeah. So what they want to do now, they want to do basically they're, I would say, expanding the interview waiver requirements for I-751s. So in 2008, there was this memo issued by USCIS saying that basically we're going to interview almost all cases, I-751 cases. It's not exactly what it says there, but basically that's what it was. Mm-hmm. So now they're saying that only if there is no indication of fraud or misrepresentation in your case, then it qualifies for interview waiver. Okay, if there's sufficient evidence in the file that the marriage is real. So as long as you don't file bare bones I-751, but again, every case is different. We love to say that, and we keep saying that. So every case is different. Even the waiver cases will qualify for interview waiver, which is like joint waiver. I'm talking about waiver of joint filing.
Normally, like you file with your spouse, but if you're divorced and you file individually, usually they'll do an interview for that because they're more suspicious, but they're willing to waive that as well.
Yeah, they have this discretion to waive that too. And they also say if there are no complex facts or issues that require an interview to resolve. For example, if there are some inconsistencies on previous applications, if there's nothing like that, so potentially the case qualifies for interview I-751 interview waiver. And conditional permanent resident does not have a criminal history that would make him or her removable from the United States. Mm-hmm. So basically we can bring it to a couple of things. If there is no fraud, if there is no misrepresentation, and if there is no criminal history, potentially case I-751 removal of condition case, they may not be called for an interview.
Yeah, and the great news of this is just shows the administration is pushing getting these done, because this is one of the most frustrating parts I've seen people have. Now, if you've been married to a U.S. citizen, we have the policy for the most part to file for naturalization at the 2 years and 9 month mark, essentially 90 days for 3 years, even if the I-751 is pending, because that pushes the case forward. I mean, your own personal case, you've been through the hell of the I-751 if you want to get into that, so you know how that is. But this is all positive. Things are going faster. Now, every case is different. Sometimes they say stuff, they don't do it. But in general, USCIS's internal policies and the public face that they're doing, it seems like they're speeding everything up. Just seeing what's going on with the work permits for those adjusting status and applying for EADs, the C9 category. One of our colleagues got one done in 4 weeks. 4 weeks after filing, they got a work permit. That's incredible. Now, advanced parole is just not happening anymore, essentially. That sucks, but at least getting the work permit and a social security number is a big plus. So I'm so glad to hear it.
Yeah, it's amazing news, and as I said at the very beginning, right, that we expect for the timelines to decrease significantly for I-751s.
Mhm.
Okay, and as we see with other applications, it may not happen rapidly. For example, people who file now after this new policy guidance is already here, they may see their cases being adjudicated very fast, while other people may still be waiting like 2+ years if they filed back then, like 2 or a year and a half ago, for example.
It's a weird thing that when they change a policy, they start doing it as to the cases that happen from that policy change afterwards, and the old ones are still stuck in the old line, which doesn't seem fair. You get those clients, especially very frustrated. They're like, my friend called, he just filed it, he got his work permit. I'm like, I know. USCIS is not fair sometimes like that. I don't know why they don't go back and take care of the backlog. We see that asylum cases as well. There are asylum cases pending for 7 to 8 years or 6 to 7 years or something like that. And then someone files their asylum today and they get the interview 6 weeks later. It just doesn't make sense. That's just the way it is. But it's still helpful to some people.
Yeah, exactly. So one more thing too, it doesn't say here, but I saw it somewhere too. If the case involves any national security concerns, too, they will not waive an interview.
Sure.
Yeah, you have to be mindful of that. But no one knows. It's all like their records, and even when we get the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act responses, a lot of times what we see is just like blank pages, because
Yeah.
they take everything out under like a saying that we cannot disclose this because this is like security ground or something like that.
Yeah.
So we will see how it's gonna work. Hopefully they will implement it really fast, and we will see new cases with our new cases coming, and we will see how fast it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year. Well, anything is better than 2 years that we are seeing right now. But I, like me personally, I think it should be, if there is no interview, it should be really, really fast, and it should be adjudicated at somewhere at the national benefits level, not
Yeah.
even be like sent to the local office.
Yeah,
So
we have some cases that are so strong, and then it takes 2 years. Like, how much more documents you need? They have like a kid together, they own property together. It's like, how much more documents you need? They still come back with our feet, and so it's such a weird process. I-751, as you said, it's not officially, it's not recognized as a priority. Like the marriage case itself is a priority, citizenship's a priority according to internal policies, but I-751s have not been a priority, even though it's just as important and it's just as like we have couples, and this is what really disturbed me of the ombudsman's report from last year, which I read. We're going to do a podcast on it for our other program we have. But there's so many couples or usually it's women, not always, but women stay in a relationship because they're afraid of getting divorced, even if they're in an abusive relationship, because they want to make sure they get the I-751 approved, and they're afraid if they leave, potentially lose their green card, and then they'll be destitute. And that green card aspect forces them to remain in an extremely abusive relationship. I've seen it before several times. And so it's not right for them to not put a priority on I-751, because it puts these people in a very difficult position that takes so long and keeping them in this bad relationship. So it's just not fair. Something that really has to be, pursued.
it's terrible. It's terrible, and of course, it's not the way it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
And if you find yourself in this situation, um, law really protects.
Yeah, you have options.
Yeah, you have options, so there is nothing worse staying in this kind of relationship, nothing worse. For example, again, going back to I-751, there is a waiver of joint filing requirements, and actually this one of the reasons that we
Yeah.
can use by requesting a waiver, and when person files on her own, or on his own, because both men and women qualify
Yeah.
for a waiver. Yeah.
And, US sometimes, people in this kind of situation don't have evidence. They don't call the police. It's still possible to have the case approved solely based on your testimony. Say, they hit me, I didn't take photos, no bruises. But if you just got to be detailed, you got to be open and talk about a horrible situation, even if there's no police report. Obviously, it's better if there's a police report. Obviously, it's better if there's evidence and text messages and emails showing the abusive language coming from them. But at the end of the day, it's doable that these get approved. So I've told these clients, get out of that relationship. It's better because honestly, sometimes these relationships lead to death or horrible situations. So it's like better you have your life and your health and we'll figure out the green card stuff. It is doable. You know, the U.S. has set out, you know, rules for this kind of stuff.
Exactly. So, and one thing I forgot to mention, sorry guys, as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm a bit sick. So they were saying that anyone who obtained their green cards through consular processing, they had to have this I-75 interview. So now it would not matter, even if you got your green card through the consular processing, going through the embassy, rather than doing an adjustment of status, it would not matter at all.
Yeah, wonderful. I didn't even catch that because the previous guidance that they gave said that they'll waive interviews for people that did adjustment status because the couple were there together, but not consular processing because only the foreign person was that interview. But they're even waiving those. That's incredible. So that's really good. I mean, these people are eventually going to probably have a citizenship interview. They can talk with them again if they want to, but this system is just way too backed up.
There's no way for a waiver for a citizenship interview, but general policy is that, of course, USCIS wants to see a person, wants to interview them, wants to, you know, make sure everything is right, was done properly, you know, like consular processing, adjustment of status, you know, so yeah.
Well, very cool. Thank you for watching this educational program. To get the latest videos, click the subscribe button and the notification bell icon. Also, help us help the immigrant community by liking this video and sharing it with your family and friends. You can also find us on other social media sites like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Twitter, where you find the latest updates on immigration news, policy changes, and tips. Be safe and God bless. See you soon.